Hello and good morning. Welcome to Stampin' Chat. Today is the 3rd of September. We're in September already and the weather is reminding us of that. It's pretty drizzly, although it's very warm. It's been warm the last couple of days, but sort of overcast and cloudy. If you are joining, please do say hello. It's lovely to know who's here with us. Right, today we are definitely heading full right down the road of Christmas because I've got two stamp sets, one particularly that I'm using, the Yuletide Village, as I advertised earlier, and then I'm also pulling in the Snowy Wonder set, which is another sneak peek from the mini catalogue. Good morning, Lisa. How are you doing? Hope you're having a little brighter weather than we're having here. It's a bit grim and a bit grey, but as I've said, it's warm. It's just a bit drizzly, which they've promised us sunshine later, and I'm sure it will come because that's been happening lately. Right, I'm going to get you down on my desk because I'm good at waffling. So, and I don't particularly like being face on camera. It's not my most favourite thing to do. I love to be here with you, but yeah. The face on camera is not the best. So without further ado, let's get you down on my desk and see what's going on. It's very wet there as well, Lisa. Yeah, I think it's kind of a bit general, isn't it? Must be something, kind of some storm blowing through. So, although before I went on live, I saw on my AOL that, brain engage, that the weather, September, we're going to see a lot of bad weather, so not what we want to look forward to. We could do with a nice dry crisp autumn, couldn't we? I mean, it's like autumn is here already. The leaves are, so many leaves are down on the ground. They're yellow, brown, you know, they are full on autumn mode. So anyway, good morning, Helen, how are you doing? How are you this morning? Right, let's get you down on my desk. Bear with the palm of the hand. Squidge everything about. Try and do it as quickly as I can. And, oh, and we're zooming. Let's get some light on. So today, is my light going to stay on today? It is. It's my little man's birthday. I don't know where he's gone. He's under my desk. I should have given him a little moment, shouldn't I, on my lap. But it's his birthday. It's Alfie's birthday today. He is 11. That is so scary. So scary. Right, I'm just going to move you down a bit. Because there are a lot of you here, customers of mine, who were at classes when we first got Alfie 11 years ago. So yeah, he's definitely a bit of an old man now. He's very stuck in his ways. He's got a lovely grey chin, grey eyebrows, haven't you, little man? He's ignoring me. So obviously he had some presents this morning. He had some new toys and he had bacon Twizzlers for a birthday treat before he went out for his morning wee. So yeah, been spoiled already. Helen, are you away? Oh, you're on holiday. Are you in your caravan? Not quite the weather you were hoping for. Oh, bless you. But it is warm, isn't it? That's one consolation. At least it's not like blowing a gale and, well, it's not here. It's just like still and drizzly. So I hope it perks up for you later. And I hope you've got plenty of crafting to do if you are away in the caravan. Oh, Penny sending him licks. Thank you. I will tell him that. Right, before I move on to stamping, see that I told you I can waffle. We're 7 minutes in and nothing's even happened yet. Honestly, my head is in such a spin at the moment. I've got so much going on with retreat this time next month. And I've taken on so many classes this month. it's just a little bit crazy, and we have a lot happening. There is a lot happening. So talking of things that are happening, next month on the 5th of October, we celebrate World Card Making Day, which is a great day when you should take time out to be creative. And that could be being in your own company, or you could join the virtual event, which will be happening between 1 o'clock and 2 p.m. in the UK. And it's a free online event, so I will probably email this. This will go out into my email, but you can head online and scan the QR code. You can register from today for that event. So, and then you'll get all the details on kind of what they're creating, what they're using. So yeah, that's a really good event. I am possibly going to be away on that day. It's a Saturday, but I may be able to join in, depending. Hello, Jill. How are you doing? Thank you for the birthday wishes for Alfie. Hi, Shaz. How are you doing? Remind me what time you are there, Shaz. You're 9 hours on, aren't you? Although our clocks will be changing. Dare I say it, not until October, but yeah, they will be changing. One more day, guys. One more day. Although if you're in the UK, this will go live from 11 p.m. tonight. Now, I've got an order to go through, and I need to make sure some items get to me, because I've had a couple of orders lately that UPS have held in customs, and it's not really ideal. And I don't want to delay them getting here. So I'm considering biting the bullet and doing an expedited order. And believe me, I've never done it before because of the cost. It is super pricey, but I'm very tempted because there's some products that I need for here for classes at the end of next week. And also we've got goodies in here, and I have a list of items that I want to get from the scrapbooking brochure as well. So I did share more about this over in my stamping community group. I think I forgot to put the link down for it, but I will try and remember to do that. But anybody can join that group. It's just basically, you know, chat, sharing, information, and inspiration, and challenges as well. So we had a challenge last month, and I picked a winner, and the lovely Jill, who's on here, she was our winner, and she got to, well, she will get to receive the lovely embossing folder, the Birchwood, and it was a sketch challenge. So yeah, so the September challenge is already up, and the theme is Christmas. So it's anything Christmas, whatever you're working on. Okay, so Sharon, it's 7 p.m. on Tuesday. So what are we now? 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, so we're 9 hours, you're 9 hours ahead, bless you. Okay, so Yuletide Village, got lots of colouring to do. I'm going to, first of all, because I've had lots of questions after I shared some pictures on this and shared some class projects over on my VIP group. Well, it's not my VIP group, it's my community group, because I've had to create a new one. And we were talking about the blends pens. Now, I've been predominantly using Crumb Cake, which they're nearly done. I've used them so much. Petal Pink, but then also, I'm going to show you a picture in the catalogue. On page 131, it talks all about blending here and about our pens. Obviously, we've got different types of pens. But here, and I think a lot of people miss this, we've got these natural tones blends, and my little ticks indicate the ones that I've got. And these are just lovely, let me get some of the others, lovely skin tones, kind of. I don't know whether that's the right phrase to use, but they are lovely tones. And they've got different numbers on, so they're not done in colours. I mean, they're listed as medium light and medium combo, but they've got colours, numbers on here, so SU 700, SU 900, but they come as a pair, and the way to figure out where they're from is from the barcode, because that tells you which two go together. So I absolutely adore those. I've been using them a lot to colour in my little houses, which you will be seeing today. Right, I've got some stamps mounted. Let's make a start. I've got 2 cards and something that's a little 3D. So, and I will be live. I'm going to pop on my community group after the live because I just want to rerun through all the classes that are happening this month, because I've got another one that's added in, another one that's coming. And I just wanted to run through everything for you before people commit to booking. Right. Helen, you're in an Airbnb with the in-laws. You've brought lots of crafty things with you. Good. Oh, an Airbnb sounds fun. Right, I'm going to take my base layer. Basic white. No surprise there. And let me just remind myself what I'm doing. I've got a layer of crumb cake and a matting layer of basic white. So we've got a crumb cake of 3 3/4 by 5 3/8, and then a matting layer of basic white at 3 5 and 5 1/4. Those are quite general sizes for me, and I like the fact that when I layer them, you get to see quite a large, not quite a large, but quite a bit of the background base card. And sometimes I will make this layer 1/8 smaller so that you get kind of a chunkier border. Right, what we're going to do first though is do our stamping for our little houses, because I want that to just sit and dry a little. So I've pulled out a scrap. I'm only using 2 actual ink colours today, and that's crumb cake and my Memento black. I did take it upon myself to chop my mat in half as well, because it was just big and it was starting to bother me. I've got a couple, so I've still got one at full size. But for just stamping small things, this is just a perfect size, and it's quite portable as well. Right, I've taken a strip here. Now I want to stamp, I think I need to do 3 or 4 different houses on here. So I'm going to stamp them all, and then we're going to set them to dry for a second. So, am I in shot? I am. Yes, the pens are a great addition, Helen, aren't they? You reach for them all the time. Yeah, they're really, really handy. So I'm going to start with this one. And the reason I've got quite a depth here is because I want to allow, I don't want to stamp it right at the bottom. I want to allow for like some snow underneath. So I'm going to stamp it quite high and close-ish to the edge. And then I want a second one of these. What I could do is turn it around that way and do it like that. So can you see, by having, it feels like we're wasting paper a bit, but by having this layer of snow at the bottom, it just gives us more freedom for what we might want to do with this one. Right, the next one that I've mounted is this cute little house. And we're just going to pop that one down here. I know I don't need too much at the bottom of that one. Of course, we have to allow for this image here that could be coming off. So I'm trying to be savvy with my paper, but also I don't want to colour something in and then realise that I haven't got like enough scope to use it how I'm going to use it. And then the final one is this one that makes me think of a gingerbread house. I don't know why, because it's not really extravagant. And I'm going to just stamp this one this way because I want a bit of snow either side of the house. So I've got my 4 images done ready. Let's put all of those out of the way, and then I don't have to clean them for a moment. And I'm going to set those to one side. Now I think I have got some stamped ready that I can chop into, but I'm not sure where I put them now. Got one. Let me check in my little packet because I have so many of these images ready to go, but I haven't got the one that I want. Here we go. That will do fine. So I've got a little like A5 pocket envelope. So I'll let these set to dry for a minute, and then we can use this one here to start with. And we can colour that one in a moment. So the other thing that we need to stamp, might have to pull that back in for a minute. So I've mounted up. So in this set, I think I've used all of these images apart from this kind of snowy bunting and this sweet little tree here, which both of those would be really good for like creating a scene. Right, let's take a scrap, and I'm going to use my crumb cake. Sharon, you're not sure about the set. Is that what you're saying? The houses? I mean, they are kind of work. I'm just going to stamp a few trees because I'm not sure how many we need. And if they're stamped, then they're ready to go, aren't they? Okay. You're still unsure about the sled as well? Yeah, so I have created some more projects with the sophisticated sled for Christmas, which you might have seen. I did share some sneaks of what's coming. Right, I need a bit of crumb cake as well. But actually we'll do that after, because that's for the next card. So for this one I need, so there is a bit of fussy cutting involved in this. So that is you don't have to fussy cut with this stamp set. You can just like stamp these flat and colour them in. You can create a mask by stamping on a post-it note. That's something I'll have to try and show you. Not today because there won't be time, but basically stamping and masking so you can layer houses to make a scene. So yeah, basically you can create sort of flat projects with them, but you know me, I like my 3D. Right, the other thing I need is to stamp. I haven't got everything in my little kit. I'm missing a strip of cardstock. Let's see if I've got one that's roughly the right size. That might just about work. So also I've mounted up this, which is a brick wall. So my voice has gone, excuse me, croaky now. I had Luca yesterday. Luca's my youngest grandson. He will be 2 in September. Let's put a bit of grid paper down just so I don't stamp any more on my mat. Yeah, he's going to be 2 in September, and I can't quite believe where that time has gone. So what I'm doing, actually it's going to be easier to see. I'm not worried about, my mat is covered in stamps anyway, where things have got stamped on. And I'm just not doing a very good job of showing this, but so I'm just, oh gosh. Good job it landed that way down. As I was saying 3 times, I'm just going to create a brick wall on this strip of cardstock. So easily done. I am just going to trim off that little edge. In my guillotine, try and get it as straight as I can. So we've just got a little brick wall. And then while we're here, let's grab another scrap and stamp out a greeting. So what have we all been up to? Helen, you've been away on, well, you're away on holiday. What have we all been up to? What did you get up to at the weekend? Helen, the individual houses fit really well in the 2 3/8 circle punch. Yes. I'm going to grab mine. So you could just punch them out, as Helen's saying. I have been using the Spotlight on Nature, but there's the code on that one. If you don't have this one, it's a real handy size, but they fit really well So good point. I've been using circle dies, but if you're not a person with lots of dies, then that won't be very handy for you. Right, what have we got next? A greeting. I've chosen the Let It Snow, and this is from the Snowy Wonder set. I adore the sentiments in here. Let me show you it again. I've yet to ink up the other images in here. I just haven't had time, but I love that we've got a Happy New Year. And this is how our stamps come. When you get them new, they come on this very thick kind of acetate sheet with a thin layer on the top. But I always, once I've started inking with the majority of them, I just take them and stick them straight inside the case, because it's too much faff to keep taking them on and off. And I'm sure that's why the pictures are there, so that you can then peel them off of here and stick them straight onto your case, like I do with all of my others. They just live inside like that. So let's trim that one off. Need to cut that out. The other thing I need is from the Spotlight on Nature. Now, honestly, I'm having real guilt moments here, because I borrowed this bundle from the beautiful Belle in my team, and I have yet to give it back. Mine is on its way. I've ordered a set, but yeah, let's just say I'd kind of forgotten. I'm just going to cut this one out really quickly. Kind of forgotten that a couple of weeks have gone by and I've not delivered it back to her. But honestly, I've used it a lot. And I'm very grateful that she's loaned it me ahead of my retreat, because we are using it for my retreat. Right, we need that one out. So I've just cut, this is my favourite one from the whole of the dies. One, because you don't have to push out all the fancy bits of the others. But two, I just love this kind of ribbed edge. Right, let's do a little bit of blending. So I've got my crumb cake blending brush. I want a scrap, I'm just looking for a scrap of paper. Oh, I know I've got some cut ready. Just because I want to do a little bit of blending, and it will just stop it from going everywhere on my fresh sheet of grid paper. Right, so I've got the white layer of my card, and I'm just going to ink up my brush. Shaz, you've been scrapbooking and card making over the last couple of days. Yeah, I'm desperate to get some more scrapbooking done, but you know what it's like when you have to prioritise. So I'm starting off of my paper and working onto it in a circular motion. I'm just going to add some crumb cake colour to the top part of this white layer. Yeah, I'm absolutely desperate to get some scrapbooking done, but I feel that that's going to be my reward. So I've been doing a lot of like long evenings, and I had Luca yesterday, and he is just a little sweetheart. I said he's nearly 2. He's very sweet. He's very much a character. He understands everything you say, and obviously he's trying to talk, his words are coming out, and had a fabulous day with him. But I didn't get home until about 6, so by the time I cooked dinner, I've just added some colour. Can you see the difference between like the top and the bottom there? I think that will be enough colour. Or shall I add a bit more? Oh my God, why do I do this all the time? I think that's enough. No, let's add a bit more. I'm going to go a bit heavier with what's left on my brush. Yeah, so I got home about 6 after dropping him back. And then I cooked dinner. I did a lovely chicken mince. For those of you in the UK, have you heard of Heck? They make like sausages and stuff that are, they're not organic, but you know, I think their animals are treated fairly and things like that. But I bought this chicken mince, and I did a lovely dinner pasta dish with it, with veg. So that was what I cooked last night. which was quick and easy. Can't get rid of that yet. And then I came over to the studio at about just before 7, and we didn't leave. Jason was working downstairs. He's got 2 cars with engines out downstairs. So we're in a bit of a pickle. We've both got so much to do. And so we were still over here at like 9:15 last night. So yeah, plenty of work to be going on with around here. Right, the other thing in the Yuletide Village, it's not just houses and trees, you also get this really cute snow. So I'm just going to randomly, I don't want it too thick. It's not a snowstorm, it's just a bit of a snow flurry. I'm just going to fill in the gaps on the top part. Do I need to go a little bit lower? Maybe just a little bit on the edges. Might leave it at that. So I've just added snow. It's crumb cake snow, yes, but it's my card and I choose to have a crumb cake sky with crumb cake snow because I just love crumb cake. So anything goes. And this is just my colour scheme for this set at present. I've got other colours coming with it. I've got some reds and garden greens coming in, but I know, Helen, how is he going to be 2 already? It's quite scary, isn't it? Quite scary. Right, also I've cut a strip of pattern paper. This is a bit of a sneak peek. I don't know if I showed this on here last time. Let's grab it out of my drawer. It's called Snowy Scenes. It's coming in the mini catalogue. You can see I've been chopping at it. And it's one of those paper packs that one pack is not enough, because when you cut one beautiful side, there's always a really fabulous side that you have to chop into. And it's just a dilemma of not wanting to chop it. You've got to chop it, but you've got to buy 2 packs to start with so that you know you've got that second packet. It's adorable. So one of the scrapbooking kits, the workshop kits, includes some of these papers. We'll have a quick look at those. But look, you could just cut these out. These cute little penguins with their earmuffs on and their bobblies. And that's a really nice, like, painted effect of holly and berries. And more cute houses. And then on the reverse of that one, got candy canes. So it's adorable paper. Adorable. Let's find the scrapbooking kit quickly. I'm digressing now. My aim is never to be on here too long, and here she is, showing you everything. So the scrapbooking workshop kit for this one, it's £24. So we've got this new 2-tone cardstock coming. Okay. Once mine arrives, I will be going live and sharing it with you. But in here, you get 2 sheets of 2-tone cardstock. You get 5 sheets of the new white we've got coming, which is called White Willow. We get 6 sheets of double-sided DSP, which is what I've just shown you. And then we also get 4 sheets of a different design of pattern paper. And then we get a sticker sheet in as well, a 12x12 sticker sheet. So I'm super excited for those things to come. It does mean, though, that I have to stay up till 11 o'clock tonight, which 10:15 is the time for me at present. Right, yeah, I'm tired at night, I find. I think because I wake early, I'm really tired by the evening. Right, let's move those out of the way. And just sit and do a bit of colouring. Otherwise we're going to be here all day. Right, let us start. Let's put the crumb cake away. So I've got light and dark crumb cake, although I will be using both on this one. Then I've got petal pink dark, and I've got SU 500. So let's start with some petal pink. I've still got my dodgy hand but I am being very careful with it. Last night when we sat down at about 9:15, when we finally sat down to sort of chillax for a bit and put the TV on, I sat with I've bought one of these, this pen's running dry as well. I've bought one of these wrist supports that you put in the freezer, but then you can also put it in the microwave as well, which is really good. So I'm doing 20 minutes of like having my hand frozen off, and then 20 minutes of heat to try and help. So I'm just colouring using the SU, is it 500? I'm going to do the roof edge, because obviously this bit is snow, and we'll do the whole of the door. Remember with the blends, you don't need to apply too much pressure. When I'm doing these windowsills, I'm literally just touching the paper with them and not applying too much pressure. While we've got the lid off, let's do the roof on here. So these are quite quick to colour in. Maybe it's because I've done like 50 million of them already over the last week or two. We'll do this front door as well. And then just to add a bit of depth, I'm just going to dot around the top right hand side of that one. Then let's do a light crumb cake step on that one, and then we're going to colour the whole of this house in the light crumb cake. So I'm doing it pretty quickly. I do find that sometimes when I hold classes and people colouring in, they're being like really careful and really conscious, and which you do have to be careful. You don't want to go over the edge. I'm going in with the dark crumb cake, and I'm just putting like a few dots around the top. Can you see that? And I'm just going to go back in with the light and kind of pull it together just to create like a bit of a shadow up at the top of the house. Just pull those colours in. This is a bit quick. I have gone over the edges a little bit, but it's fine. And then we'll just do the bottom part of the house. It doesn't help as well because I'm like 10 foot away from what I'm doing. Whereas if I was colouring this in, I would be a little bit closer to what I was doing. Okay, we just need to add the windowsills in. So I'm hardly touching the paper when I'm doing this because the ink kind of does bleed into the paper. So, Shaz, you're having issues with your internet. Maybe come back for the replay when it clears itself. I know internet issues are never great, are they? Right, what we're going to do with this one is I am going to chop it. I'm going to follow this line and just kind of chop from there. And just go around the edge. Kind of pretty close to that black stamped line. I'm trying to cut and make sure you can see what I'm doing. So I could well go over an edge, chop a chimney off. So what did we do at the weekend? It was Saturday. Jason he worked in the morning and then he went out kind of on a breakdown on Saturday afternoon. So of course I worked for the whole day, was in my studio, which brings me so much joy. It's never a chore being over here. Let's cut out these two as well while the scissors are handy. So, and then, well, Friday night we went out, actually. We went down to the Keys in Gloucester and had a nice meal. We went back to the same place we went last time. We had a wander around all of the eating places down there, and it was super busy because it was a really kind of warm evening. It had been a bit overcast, but it was really warm. There was a lot of people out wandering. And the first restaurants we got to were pretty full. So we wandered down the other end of the quays, if you know Gloucester Quays, down to the food dock where there are some new eating places. And I think Jay wanted the steak, but I'm not a fan of steak. And they did have some wraps, but the menu looked very garlicky and it made me really nervous. So we ended up going to Chuck Burgers and having another burger. He's rolling his eyes at me at that point. Bless him. So yeah, so we had a nice evening out and a drink. And then we came home. And Sunday, what did we do on Sunday? Oh, isn't it awful when you just can't remember, even though it's only a couple of days ago? Oh, Sophie and Alex came over in the morning. We had some breakfast. And then Jason and I both did more work. And then we went out for coffee. And oh yes, we went to a lovely place. I did put it on my stories. Right, I'm trying to talk and craft at the same time. What I'm going to do is I want to layer this little house on here. And can you see why I wanted quite a bit of depth of snow beneath? Because I want to layer this on. What I'm going to do is hold it and turn it around and then just snip around the edge. So yeah, we did a bit of work in the morning, and then at lunchtime we headed out to a local-ish, Helen, I don't know if you've been there actually, it's called Leaf Creative. It's at Huntley, and it's basically like a little garden centre. It's very cute, very up my street, beautiful vibes, beautiful coffee shop, but with outdoor seating. That, I mean, they specialise in like landscape gardening, so you can imagine the scene there. It was beautiful. We sat outside, kind of in sort of like a bit of a private area, sort of, but like with like big trees and bushes all around us. It was just lovely. We had some lovely lunch, and I popped some dimensionals on the back of here. Lovely coffee and lunch, and then we had a little wander, and they have events there. They have like cheese and wine events and things like that, and like wreath making at this time of the year. But they had this like huge teepee where they obviously hold events with like fire pits, and this other lovely wooden outdoor building. Actually, I printed off a couple of photos on my selfie. So obviously this is 2 photos on one. It's just a really sweet garden centre. That was the entrance, and they sell raft clothing as well, which is just gorgeous. That was our lunch. We shared, because we always share, because I'm a lightweight, so we always share lunch and share a treat. But it was just lovely. And then they had this fire pit area, and then this lovely wooden, this had a thatched roof on it, where they obviously hold events or probably private parties or stuff, but it was just so lovely. So we stopped there and had lunch, had a little wander, a look in the garden centre, and then just mounted that on there, and then stopped off at the farm shop on the way home and got some ham for the lunches and chocolate treats, of course. Have you been there, Helen? Yeah, it is lovely. It's lovely. Right, let's get sticking this together, otherwise you're going to be here till midnight. So I'm just taking this strip of DSP. It looks like it's 3/4 of an inch. Have I cut it to size? And I'm just going to stick it down at the bottom. So yeah, by the time we got back from there, it was getting on probably about 3-ish. Right, I need to go a bit lower, I think. And then the F1 was on, so Jay watched the F1. I did a little bit of ironing, I think. Or did I do that in the morning? Let's try and get that straight. And then, of course, I came back over here. So I have been spending a lot of time over here preparing for classes and getting ready for my retreat. Right, I don't think we've got any overhang on there, tiny bit. Just trim that off. And then, what else did we do? I think we just chilled then, and we stayed in Sunday evening and had dipping oil and bread and cheese, all the really naughty things because it's the weekend. And we shared it was a Biscoff Millionaire shortbread. It was so sweet, but very good. Right, I've just mounted those two up. We can pop that down on our card now. It's really warm in here today. It's a shame that it's not like a sunny, lovely day, but the garden, I'm pretty sure, is thankful for the rain that we've had. Okay, so what we're going to do next is add our little circle, just hovering over the DSP, more to the right hand side. Make sure that's straight. Bit dodgy colouring now I'm looking at it close up. Gone over the edge a bit and then it's sort of bled with the crumb cake, but it's fine. And then our little wall, I'm going to pop some dimensionals on either end. And then I'm just going to pop one on either side of my circle, so that when I lay down this wall, it's not kind of sagging over the edge. So just pop that down there. I think I've re-inked my crumb cake as well since I last created, because these look a lot darker. My little tree, I'm going to pop over this side. So let's just put on that. I've just tucked that down with my dimensional, but I want it on top. Definitely got a frog in the throat, and yeah, Luca has had a bit of a cough yesterday. Right, this is a bit different to my original because I think this piece is shorter, but that's fine because I just used a scrap, didn't I? Then we're going to add in our greeting. Take the backs off. Just pop that one in up there. I love that, let it snow. And then we're going to add in these. So these are my free gift for my challenge over on my group. Now, there are some dodgy looking ones in here. So just as if you buy these and you go through, can you see this one's missing a bit? They'd be okay if you were using them in a shaker card, but maybe they won't look the best if you're putting them on a project like I am. So we're just going to have a triangle, but I adore them. They are, not sure what material they are. You can't really, they're quite thick. Can you see? They're almost like, they're like a very dense foam. They're very lightweight, which is good for posting. Right, I did kind of stuff up my wall a little bit. I should have gone over. Wonder if we can get it up. Anything is possible. It's only dimensionals. I want to shifty it over a little bit. Not tear the patterned paper. That's better. That's better. put the lid on those snowflakes, otherwise they could be everywhere. And then that's my first little card. Hi Renee, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us. So that's our first card. Here's my original. Colouring was a bit better on that one. But yeah, adoring these colours for these houses. As I've said, use this as inspiration, okay? You can colour your houses in whatever colour you like. You can do them hot pink if you feel the need. Right, you can see I've done a little bit of blending ahead of time. And this one we've got a crumb cake base, so my standard size is 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. Let's make sure it's lined up. And then I've got a white layer measuring 3 3/4 by 5 3. I wasn't sure if I'd done that one slightly smaller. And I've also got another piece of cardstock measuring 3 3/4 by 2 5/8. So what we're going to start with is I've got one house that I've done here. I wonder if I've got another house coloured in. Let's have a look. Probably not in the colour that I want. No, so we'll do it quickly. Doesn't take long. So these were the ones that I stamped earlier. I need a tree. I also need a crumb cake tree. You missed most of the first card, Renee. That's fine. You can come back in on the replay and watch it, or when it goes over on YouTube. Let's just do 2 of those, which will hopefully be later. I've probably got a ton of these cut somewhere. Let's have a look in my packet. Yeah. Look, I've got a whole host of bits and bobs. See if we've got a crumb cake one. And then you don't have to watch me fussy cutting, although I know you do enjoy watching a bit of fussy cutting. So we've got 2 trees for this one. Obviously, as I've said, you colour yours however you like to colour them. Add loads of colour. You know me, I am not good with colour. I love other people's colour and their creations. I'm just not very good at doing it myself. Right, let us start with dark petal pink. We're going to do this one first. And we're just going to colour in. Also, my hand's probably in the way, so you probably can't see properly what I'm doing. I mean, thankfully there's quite a lot of snow on these houses, so we don't have to do, but they're not like really timely images that need like loads of time spent colouring them in, and I think that's what I love about them. So I just went back over them just to give a little bit of depth. And then on this one, we're going to have the SU 500 for the door. This is quite a dark colour. And again, I'm just going to dot up in that top right corner to add a bit of like depth. And then we'll do the roof. I took, when I went racing with Jay, not this weekend gone, obviously, the weekend before, I took this stamp set with me and my pens, and I just sat, I stamped, I coloured, and I cut. I was just in my pure element, honestly. Shaz, you love a bit of fussy cutting. I adore it. I know it's not for everybody. I'm going to colour in the shutters. I didn't on my original. And I do appreciate that some of you, you're not very confident about your cutting. But do you know what? There's something I will say. Whatever scissors you're using will have an impact on your colouring. Our snips, now this is, I'm really like dropping it in here, but these are the best scissors you will ever get. And I've got about 5 or 6 pairs because I bought them for classes. But once you've got a pair, if you look after them, you will never need to replace them. Obviously, you've got to think about the tip and how you're storing them, because you don't want to damage the tip. But they are the most awesome scissors. We call them snips. And they just help you to create really good cutting of projects. So on this little one, which I like to call the gingerbread house, I'm just colouring it in crumb light, and then with the dark, I'm literally just going to draw a faint line, and then I'm going to pull that circular motion, just pull it in and down, and then when that dries, that will just create, I might just pull that down a bit further, otherwise it will look like I've got a line. It will just create a bit of shadowing up there. Now, you hear me say this all the time, I am not really the best at colouring in. I'm not very good at shading, but these pens just really help to make it easy for you. So I'm just colouring the whole house. I've got another packet of these coming. Hopefully today. They were supposed to have been here yesterday or end of last week, and UPS decided that they were going to delay everything in the order that I'm waiting for. Thank you for that. Right, just do a little line up here and then a bit up there. Can you see I'm just like, oh, my daughter's messaging me. Let's just swipe that away. She's obviously forgotten it's Tuesday live. I'm blessed to have a daughter. A creative one at that. I birthed a creative. Super proud. Okay, so I've just done the crumb cake of the house, and then the door, we're going to do the same. And I'm just colouring over that bow because we're not adding any extra colours into this one. Where have you been, Alfie? You've been on an adventure out there. Do the roof. So remember, don't press too hard, just gently hover and add your colour. And that's it, done. I'm leaving it as that. So do you remember we left a lot of the bottom? So I'm just going to snip from this angle and trim around. I do see people sometimes at class cutting out, and their scissors have like a really roundy edge on the what should be the point, and I'm sure that doesn't help with, you know, trying to be precise. So yeah, a shameless plug of like, you need to buy these scissors. Okay, and then the other house, I'm going to do the same. So just follow that snow line. Trim around the edge. Tempted to look at comments, but can't trim and look. I'm really puzzled with my phone because I recently bought the new iPhone, not the latest one, but I don't know if it's a 14 I got. I think it is, I can't remember. Was it a 15? And I take a photo of something and it looks really light. I adjust the lighting on it, and then when I upload it to Instagram or Facebook, it comes out really dark. and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and it's one of those things that I've just like keep bypassing and don't get around to doing anything about it, which isn't good. But Helen, you've stamped and coloured about 40 of these this week. Yes, it's super therapeutic. Right, we've got our little circle die cut again from the Spotlight on Nature. Gonna add some more colour with crumb cake. I'm gonna have brown nails. A little bit more. Don't need to do the lower bottom part. And then we're gonna add in another little bit of snow. Don't too much. I'm gonna turn it around and they kind of like fit together quite nicely. Now I want to put some snow at the top here, but I'm looking for another scrap of grid paper. I know I have some somewhere. I've got all my scribbles on it. That'll do. It's a very old used piece. Who remembers that stamp set? Got another pop-up. And then, so this is the top. I want to just add some more snowflakes, but I don't want to get my snow on that like ribbed edge. So I'm just going to use this piece of scrap to kind of mask off the edge. Can you see? So we've got some like half snowflakes, but that's totally fine. Let's get rid of that. So we've just got a nice circle of snow. Oh, I did put snow on the background of there. Let's do that because that's how my card was looking. So let's just pull that back in. Helen, you hated fussy cutting until you learned to move the paper, not the scissors. Yes, that is a really good tip. So definitely when you are cutting into something, I have my scissors wide open, but then you're kind of turning the paper as you're closing your scissors. And that is, you know, a big part of it as well. And then you don't kind of get like a rough sort of edge. Right, on my original, I've got lots of snow happening, but I think I'm going to not put as much on here. And kind of have it not as snowy, blustery. That's better. So just added some snow on there. But then what I'm going to do is pop this piece that I showed you earlier. Am I in shot? Yeah. And just stick that part of the way down. You'll see why in a minute. Just because I wanted a white area on the back behind where my little circle is going. So just about a third of the way down, more than a third. I think that's right. Well, nothing's wrong, is it? Nothing is wrong. If it goes wrong, it's a happy accident and we figure a way around it, don't we? Just checking the time. My clock, the battery's run out on my clock, so it's just spinning. The whole meaning of time flying by is happening behind me on my clock. And my watch is a little fast as well, so I hope it's not starting to play up again. Right, I'm going to stick... No, I'm not going to stick this down because I want to create a wall first. So let's bring back in that stamp and the ink. Should have done this ahead of time, really, because it's... It's not time consuming really, but all these little things add up, don't they? So I love our photopolymer stamps that we can see through. I'm trying to just get them to like touch each individual one so that it doesn't look like a broken wall. Oh, that one was a bit dodgy. Had a bit of a wobble. And I can't really see what I'm doing. Right, I might need to use this end. Two hands. Two hands. I always teach people 2 hands on a block to give you support and to help with the wobbles. It's a wall. If it's anything like the walls around here in the Cotswolds, they're never straight or uniform. It's much, as I said, this is much deeper ink than what I had before. Right, I need to just measure that and chop it so it's the same length. And now we can pop this layer down onto our card. Straight would be good, with an even border all the way around. So I could have just kind of masked off that area there. But I think when I was first designing, I was planning to not have a white area here. Right, what I want to do now is add in this little circle of snow. And I want it to just pop above that white area. Have it central. Let's turn it a bit. I'm just looking at the bottom bit, although most of that's going to be hidden. And then our little houses, I'm going to pop one here, and I might want to chop a little bit off the height of this one. And then I'm going to have another one over here. So let's guesstimate. If we put that one there, that one next to it, just going to snip it off about there. I think we're okay for height wise. I've got enough at the bottom there. Maybe I could just line them straight up with the bottom of that. Let's stick this one down first because it's going flat down onto our card. About there. Make sure it's straight because a crooked house won't look so good. And then this one I'm going to pop on some dimensionals. Just lay those on. Put one in the middle. And I'm going to put that one in right next door, but it wants to be a bit lower, so I am going to pop in my little wall. I think I might just snip, move him in a bit, he'll come up. Just going to snip a bit off. Doesn't matter that it's not straight. And we're just going to pop that one in. Right, let us check that we've got the edge straight first. Take a bit more off of there. And just pop it in like that. This is a bit longer than on my original, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to stick my wall. Now, this is where I was saying to you about having like room either side of your stamped images so that we could have allowed for that runoff of snow there. But we're not going to worry about that because we're just going to fathom a way around it. Where am I? Going to pop in a couple of mini dimensionals along there. And I'm going to take one, take the lid off so it's sticky on both sides now. And I'm just going to wedge that part under there just to make sure that that bit is sticking down. And then I can add some Tombow. And then we can pop in our wall, which is very dark. And let's try and get the wall straight, even though in reality they never are. Like that. And then we'll take our trees. It's really warm in here today. Really warm. I'm going to stick that one flat actually. And I don't want to hide too much of my house, but I need to hide that, so I might just have to. Let's put one there. And then this one is going to go on dimensionals because we want it to just pop out a little bit. And we can have it. I need to also hide that bit of cut there as well, so kind of in front of the house, but that's fine. So we just kind of like layered them up. So if you were masking, and I really do need to come back and show you how you mask, then you would not have that worry of having this edge of paper running off. Right, I've not pulled in my mat, but let's just stamp. I'll let it snow and cut that out really quickly. So turning the paper. The faster you go, kind of the smoother your edge becomes. If you start like opening and closing your scissors all the time, you get kind of like rough edges. And then we're just going to pop in our sentiment. So I believe children are going back to school tomorrow. So the roads will get busier with the school run traffic. And then we'll finish with more snow, because we can. Come on, Tombow. Right, you do need a decent amount of Tombow to make sure these stick. Got plenty of Tombow on my fingers at the moment. And then we'll put some on here. Maybe another one over here. These snowflakes just are really pretty. Imagine them in a shaker card. And another little one over here. I am finding them in places though. There we go. So cute little houses on the snow hill. Created in a bit of a rush. Right, how are we doing for time? 10 past 11. Okay, I've got one more project for you. This is a 3D project. And it could house some money or a gift card. Done a couple of bits ahead of time. Let's just move my MacBook out of the way because we need to do some scoring. It's pretty straightforward. bit of, whoops, that was my light, colouring done ahead of the game. So, do I need to give you measurements for this? Would it be unfair not to give you measurements? It would, wouldn't it? Right, I'm just grabbing my score board. Oh, see, look, there's one that got away. I'm tempted to put these in another pot that's slightly easier to open and close. Okay, so we have got a piece of basic white cardstock. It measures 7 inches by 11 5/8. Now, for those of you who are not in the UK, who have, thank you guys, I'm just seeing your comments. Thank you for your love. For those of you that have a different size A4, which I guess we call it a US A4. I think your cardstock is 8.5 by 11 inches. You could adapt this quite easily by just making the tab at the top slightly shorter. So, and that's something that I'm going to be looking at. If I'm going to be doing online Zooms, I will be looking at, you know, how you can adjust according to your paper sizes. Got Tombow on my fingers. Right, so we are 7 inches by 11 5/8. I'm hoping I've got these measurements right. And I guess we're about to find out, aren't we? So we're going to score landscape at 1/2 inch. Right, that left one is tricky to get to when it's a narrow score line. So 1/2 inch, 3 1/8. I'm all very good at making things and then writing down the measurements wrong. 6 3/8, 9 5/8, and 9 3/4. And then we're going to turn it portrait and score at 1/2 inch on each edge. And I'm going to do it from this side. So I'm going to score it at 6.5 and then rotate it and score it at 6.5, which is 1/2 inch from each edge. So we end up with, it'll be tricky for you to see, with this. I've got my flip-flops on today. It's raining, and because I go back and forth from my studio to the house, like, I very rarely, I either put my Crocs on, but I've got new flip-flops, so I'm flip-flopping around over here today. They're just comfy. They're just comfy. Right, just take some, actually, I'm not going to take my big scissors. I'm going to get my paper trimmer. Right, let me get my little template out so I can see what I am cutting. If you have a Stampin' Up trimmer, this is really handy for this part of the process. So at the top, I've got the narrower section here, and then we've got a wider section at the bottom. Now, what I want to do, we've got a score blade, which is this lighter colour, and then we've got our cut blade. You could have done your scoring on here, but I just love my scoreboard. But what I want to do is I'm going to cut at this, remember this 1/2 inch line that we did? I want to cut off down to the 3rd. So I want to cut off the top 2 sections. So if I go down to the bottom of that 2nd panel and then cut up, and then I want to do the bottom part. Actually, I'm going to flip it and do the same on the other side. So I've just flipped it over, and then I'm going to go down to this score line here. I think I just pulled my blade out then. And then I'm going to cut up. So we've got these 2 bits like this. Then I'm going to flip it up the other way and align it back in on that 1/2 inch score line again. And I'm going to cut down to that panel again. So I go down to that first big panel and I'm going to cut up, and then I'm going to flip it back to that 1/2 inch down to this score line and cut up so that we have these little corners. You could do that with scissors, but by doing it this way, it just means you get a straighter edge. So we don't need that. But what we need to do is just chop off these pieces, and I'm just wedging them. By wedging, I mean just like taking a wedge out. That wasn't a very close cut there, can you see? That might overhang a little bit, but if I go back in on that trimmer and do that, it won't look the best. Right, next I'm going to snip off and do a wedge on that skinny panel on there. Okay, so we're looking like this. Take our bone folder. Right, now what we have to bear in mind is we've got 2 score lines that are very close to each other here. So what I like to do is get my ruler on that score line and then kind of do them one at a time. So that's the first one. I've got Tombow on the back of here. And then the next one, which is like 1/4 of an inch. It's not even a quarter, is it? I'm just going to push my bone folder in and then push that one up. So we'll fold them one at a time. Just got to get that glue off of there. So the adhesive remover takes off any Tombow. Tombow seems to get everywhere, doesn't it? As good as it is. Right, so we'll do that first one first and reinforce that. So bringing it out. And then the next one, go in like that, just so we've got... Good morning, Kathleen. How are you doing? What's the time? 11:30. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. You're up early. Let's just fold in those. I like to do those from the reverse. Right, I didn't do, can you see it? You might not be able to see. I've got like a bit of a longer edge there that I don't particularly love, but we'll see if we can do anything about that. We're just scoring on all these lines, creasing on our score lines. When I've got a narrow edge like this, I don't really like to do it from the front because you don't get a straight crease. I like to turn it over and do it on the back. Of course, you've got the first day of school there. I hope you enjoy your first day back. Right, what am I doing? So we've now got this like double fold at the top, and then these tabs here on the side. So let me look at my original and just remind myself what I'm actually doing. So what we want to do is we're going to stick down this tab at the end. Okay, so we're just going to stick that down. Tombow. Like so. And then I'm going to fold it over. I have got some strips of cardstock. That's not the one I want. I've got a narrow strip that fits just on the top of this layer. Let's measure it. got my grid here, that's easier, isn't it? So it's 5 3/4 by 2 3/8, and I'm going to run that. Do I need any more? I've got 2 pieces. I need to make sure I get the right layers. That's right. So I've got 2 pieces of white. The second piece is 5 3/4 by 3 inch. So they're both 5 3/4. One is 3 inch and one is 2 3/8 of an inch. And I need to run these through an embossing folder. And I've chosen the Snowflake Sky. Can I get both of these in here together? One will be more dense than the other because this is like it's got a gradient on it, this embossing folder, where it's heavier snow at the bottom and then like lighter snow at the top. So I'm going to run both of those through together. Like so. It's a gorgeous folder, that one. So we've got 2. Can you see this one has less snow and this one has more, and that's totally fine. And I'm going to pop one on this panel here. So I love creating packaging and things that you can gift, and this is just a really simple way. You know, quite often we have to give money or a gift card because we really don't know what to buy people, and it just, when you've got grandchildren and older children, it just gets more and more difficult to know what to get them, doesn't it? So a gift card is always a good option. Someone on that one, a bit of glue, and then I need trying to figure out which panel. Confusing myself. I think it's the next one. I'm going to stick that one on as well. I'm not 100% sure about that because I just didn't check properly, but so we'll put both of those on. Cover ourselves in Tombow like that. I've got white trousers on, so I can't remember not to rub my hands in my jeans. What else do I need to do? Oh, I've got a piece of the patterned paper. That is for that skinnier panel at the top. So that should measure the same at 5 3/4, but it's 1 5/8. Oh, I had to chop into the cute penguin. So we'll just pop that one on with an even border. I really did cut the wrong side of that score line. So if you are recreating this, just make sure you'll probably, if I hold it up to here, you'll probably be able to see. Can you see? I've just got an edge that's just a little bit too wide, but make sure you cut right in the middle of your score line. Okay, I think we can start to put this together. So we're going to make sure that those are, I've already scored them down once, but make sure they're down. And we're going to stick. So we've got this lovely folded over edge on here, which just makes a nicer edge for popping in money and stuff, or gift card. We're not going to put glue on the tab, we're going to put glue on this panel because it's shorter. So a little bit of glue on the edge. Not too close to the bottom because I have wedged it there. And then we're just going to hold that down and let it stick. Also, I have noticed something else that I've done, but it won't hurt. It just looks a bit neater, but I can show you that on my finished one. You like the Petal Pink snowflake paper? Yes, it's from it's the Snowy Wonder set. What's it actually called? It's not called Snowy Wonder, it's called Snowy Scenes in the new mini catalogue. So there is the scrapbooking kit that coordinates with that as well, which is lovely. So now, because we created that extra little score in there, we've got plenty of, you know, scope for this thicker part here. And then I thought what we could do is a panel on the inside. We could stamp with the season's greetings. Oh, it must be on a stamp somewhere, on a block. Oh, there it is. It's in my basket ready. I'll bring my mat in because we are using photopolymer. Ink that one up. Try and get it in the middle. Like that. Alfie, stop scratching. Might be your birthday, but... And then we'll just layer those two together. So my Petal Pink measures 3 inches by 5 3/4, and my basic white is 2 3/4 by 5 1/2. So just 1/4 inch less. I just layer those two together. I mean, think of the possibilities of this, what else you could do with it. And keep that thought to yourself, because I've got some thoughts of something that I might do with this layout to recreate something else. I say no more for the time being. Right, I'm just going to add that one in there. Definitely didn't cut great. And then we've got a strip of crumb cake, and it's just 8 1/4, so the width of our cardstock. Hi Vicky, how are you doing? Nice to have you here. And it measures 1 3/8 wide. And we're literally, let's do it from the back. And then we can have a join on the front and we can hide it. So this is our belly band. So we're just going to wrap it around. Not too tight, because we want to be able to slide it on and off. And we could just like pinch. Oh, I can't pinch too well up there with that hand. This hand is still dodgy. And I do forget about it until I try and do something and then realise that it's a little bit painful. So we're just gluing those together. Just going to pull it apart a little bit so it's not too tight. Then I've die cut a circle, added some colour already. I'm going to add some snow to it though, because who doesn't need crumb cake snow? Turn it around. And then, what did we do with that scrap? There it is. Yes, yes, Shaz, what I have in mind is somehow putting pictures inside here, because it's just using, well, I'm just going to go back in and go over that half a snowflake. It's just using a sheet of cardstock. So, Shaz, do you have the same size cardstock as us? 8 1/4 by like 11 3/4 almost. Or are you on the US letter side? I'm thinking you'd have the same as us. Okay, so we've got some snow. Now, I did this one ahead of time just because I knew that we would be running out of time. Not running out of time, but our time is precious, isn't it? And I don't want to take up too much of your time or bore you to tears. I'm just looking at my snow behind and trying to line up. That'll do. Vicky, you've got the same size, perfect. So yeah, I am thinking of, like, when I create something 3D, to try and fathom out, to help those of you that use the US letter size. I work in inches and I don't think I will ever change that, sadly. And I'm sorry to say that for those of you that don't work in inches, but it's just what I'm comfortable with. I can't be doing with like the point of a millimetre, like 16 point of a millimetre. It just doesn't work for me. So it's either an 1/8, a 16th, or a smidge. And a smidge is like no measurement at all. It's just a little bit. And I guess it's just what we're comfortable with. Helen, I could never bore you. Honey, I'm sure I could. Bless you. Oh, I feel like I need just one more bit of snow over this. Sorry, I'm faffing. Oh, got writing on there. Scribbles. Need just a bit more snow. That's better. Makes me happy. And then I'm just going to pop that down. Like that. Stick it down. Where are they? Here. Stick it on with some dimensionals. Oops, completely pulled that one off. And then pop it down, top to bottom. And then to finish, let's just do our up. Kathleen, yeah, I thought you were 11 by 8.5. I was doing like a comparison the other day of like your size of card compared to my size of card. So yours is just a little bit shorter. I was trying to figure out how, oh, I'm going to dig myself in a hole, but I was figuring out how I could easily give you measurements for your style cardstock. And when I was doing something 3D, I was trying to figure out if it would work if we just chopped a bit off so that, you know, your cardstock would work with it. So, right, last thing I want is some snowflakes. Jill, you're so kind, guys. Thank you. I'm just good at waffling. Do you know, I always used to be really quiet. And I think people thought maybe I was shy. But I think I wasn't shy, I was just quiet. I don't know what happened because I can talk now. You never get the short story with me. You always get the elongated version. Very good at that. Right, we'll have, I always tend to put a large one at the top. Oh, I've got Tombow fingers. Large one at the top and smaller ones to the side. And I'm gonna, oh, we'll put those in a minute. And that's hard for me to do that with my OCD. Right, so my original is the same. So we open it up. I got a smudge on it, so I need to do some like background stamping. And then we've got this little wallet here, which I figured out fits one of our £20 notes. But but you could pop a gift card in there quite easily, get a bit lost. But a note fits in. I measured it on a £20 note because, you know, £20 doesn't go far this day and age, does it? So it's not many birthdays where I put 10 in there. But yeah, you could, I guess, stick that on another decorated piece that was like almost the same size as that petal pink layer, so that you could pull it in and out. There's lots of variations. But and what I did on this one was, if you look at my template, I basically cut this wedge quite a lot bigger. If I open up the one I've just done, oh gosh, have I stuck it to it? No. Phew. It's just a little bit tighter. Can you see the difference? It's hard because it's white on white. I think it looks better with that bigger wedge there. So what I would do on your template, when you've got that bit folded in, is to put a pencil mark here. Oh, I need some more lead. Put a pencil mark there and there. And then snip from that pencil point up to that point, so you get a deeper wedge that I think looks neater. And I had fathomed that out, obviously, I just forgot to do it on this one. I could try and get my scissors in there and sort it out, but it's not going to happen. And because I've got that extra bit along there, I might be able to get that in my trimmer, but I don't think it's too noticeable. It doesn't really pop out too much. It does a little bit, and that's what will happen. So do as I say and not as I do. But yeah, I was pleased with how this turned out, and as I've said, think of what else you could do with this. I've given you the measurements. Maybe you could recreate something for, oops, just pulled that snowflake off. Recreate something for my challenge in my community group, because that's Christmas focused. So there we go. Right, let's have a little tidy up. Put everything back where it belongs, because that just makes me happy. I am ready for my 11 o'clock coffee. Although after visiting over Farm Market at the weekend, I'm feeling the need to buy myself a juicer. Jason had some fresh orange that he squeezed there and then. And I really fancy like having that in the morning rather than coffee first thing. So our 3 projects of the day. These colours, as I've said, may not be for you. I have created some more projects using the Take a Bow or Take a Bow papers and adding in a bit more red and green. So maybe you could try something like that. The world is your oyster, quite frankly. You can do what you like. Thank you everybody for being here. Let's just have a quick scroll back. You are kind, thank you. Kathleen, subtle but beautiful, very you. Yes, very Kerry. Thank you, Jill. We like what we like, don't we? We do like what we like. Kathleen, you wish you were given choice of card so you could do bigger cards. Yeah. Of course, when even my card, let me just grab an envelope. This isn't a fresh envelope, it's one that I just use for when I'm doing kits, obviously, because it's got glue all over it. Even my cardstock, so our cardstock is 8 1/4, and let me grab a piece. What is the actual? It's like 11 and 5/8 and a smidge. It's not quite 11 3/4. So when I cut my cards, not going to help with a crumb cake one, I can just get 2 by cutting them at 5 3/4. I can just get 2 from one sheet. And some people cut them at 8 inches, but the 4 1/8 doesn't bother me too much. So my base is always 4 1/8 by 5 3/4. And even then, can you see we've still got quite a lot of room around them for our envelopes. So yeah. Anything else? I'm hoping to pop, I'm going to grab a coffee and then I think I'm going to pop it in up live in my community group and just go back through all of my classes and share. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Shaz. Excellent. Right, it stopped raining. It's grey and cloudy, but the weatherman said the sun is coming later, so we shall see. Right, I hope you found these things inspiring. I can see myself making a few of these and putting some little gift cards inside here or money. Just think of the possibilities. So, without further ado, I'm going to love you and leave you. Remember, where have I put them? We've got the 2 publications. Well, we've got this publication going live tomorrow. We've got the digital scrapbooking brochure, which I can email out now, actually. Maybe I should do that. I did promise to do that the other day and I haven't done it. But the products will be available to purchase live from 11 p.m. tonight if you're in the UK. As I said, I'm planning to stay up and do an expedited order in the hope that it'll be here within 2 days. But it's so expensive to do that, so expensive. So I will consider whether I really, really need to do that. But we also have to think we're a global company and that every man and his dog is going to be ordering tonight and tomorrow. So there's going to be a lot of orders. So I might just have to bite the bullet. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. It's lovely to have you all here. And I may see some of you over in my community group shortly. So, but thank you again. And I will speak to you very soon. So take care and cheerio.